It's Monday. In England, it's Whit Monday. Here, it's Pentecost. Um, Neither of which really means anything to me, and I hadn't really clocked that it was yet another jour férié. We went out to make appointments for blood tests to discover everywhere shuttered up, and I went, "Oh no, it's another jour férié." I think that's it till July 14th, and then that'll be it until November the 1st, I think. So there'd be a long gap, I think. There might be some in August. Yeah, there is. 15th of August was my mum's birthday, is my older sister's birthday, and I've got a feeling it's another religious, it might be Assumption. You know, that day when people make assumptions. And yeah, so that might be another Ferrier day. It's exhausting keeping up with the Ferrier days. I think um had we got children at school, or had we grown up here, we might be more in tune with them, but we're not. Especially as a lot of the Ferrier days here are related to the Catholic faith. And I don't have any faith, so yeah, I don't really pay attention. Mark's just gone up to and taken some eggs up for our neighbour Manuel, who we've not seen for a long time. I've not been, and still not well enough to go socialising. It's hard enough socialising when people come here, and so it's several months, I think, at least 2 months since we've seen him, if not three. And I imagine that he would be making assumptions about that. And Mark said the other day, because I think Mark does worry about him, not worry about him, but he feels sorry for him. Um, and so he said, I'll take some eggs up for him this week. So he went about an hour ago. I don't expect to see him for at least another hour. I think the hardest thing for me with Manuel is that you can't just sort of go and say, "Oh, hi, how are you? Here's some eggs," and pass 10 minutes. I mean, even 10 minutes would be too much for me now. You can't do that. He wants to hold on to you, hold on to you, hold on to you. And so I avoid it. And, it's just too much. So, yeah. I think I've realised that I haven't quite got my head around being old. It's not something, it's as if I'm shocked to find myself here. It's I know that everybody gets here and everybody carries on going and gets further, and I know that the reality is that we all age, and the reality is that we all reach 60, 65, 70, 75 and onwards, and um somehow little me, my child, my inner child, expected that not to happen to me. So it's just really hard to get my head round and accept. It's like, is it accept or accept? Let's get those two muddled up. Um, I'm sure somebody will correct me in the comments. They normally do. Um, yeah, I just can't quite get my head around. And somebody, I think it's Linda, said that maybe it's just that we're aging, but I don't feel that my fatigue and my low stamina and my difficulties is all down to aging. Mark's 77 and full of life, and he's not what he was 10 years ago, he's not what he was 5 years ago, but he is not having to take breaks between doing things. He's not. I ran out of stamina really early this morning. I had a push. As it was, I had to simplify dinner because it would have been too. He wanted curry, and it would have been too much for me to do, and I knew that. So that's not what we had. But so I had to simplify dinner, and then I, sort of struggling and had to, sit down in between waiting for stuff to cook. Put the alarm on, call me in 5 minutes, I'll have a look. Um, so I don't think that's all down to old age. But yeah, I'm not ready for 70. Is there something I can do? So somewhere I can go to avoid it, because I'd rather avoid it. It's not long now. So yeah, that's what's going on here. Um, what else is going on? Told you about the house sitters, didn't I? I sent some pictures of the. We sat here yesterday. I'm sitting under the umbrellas. We sent some pictures. I sent some pictures because it is so lovely. With it's a beautiful day. It's sunny. It's warm. Sent some photos. Sent a short video of the chickens and Ida yesterday as well. He's a retired professional gardener, so he can have a whale of a time here, can't he? We said to them when we were talking to them on whatever day it was, feel free, do whatever you want. It would take them months to get this under control. Um, so the fig tree is absolutely loaded. I really don't know what I'm going to do with those. I've got two lots frozen in the freezer still. Um, I, I think it's quite limited what you can do. You can make jam, but we don't really eat jam, and it's all very sweet. You can make chutney, but that means standing in the kitchen, prepping food, and I'm not up for that. And what else can you make? Somebody said they put it in salads, but it's like you put one or two in a salad, you can't put half a tree in a salad. So yeah, I don't know what we're going to do about those. I am being reminded with the news from Los Angeles, the Kent State University in 1968. It really is. I'm not even going to say shades of that, because it is. I think it's going to be that, and people will die, and it's what Trump wants. It's what Trump wants. He wants to. What is it? He's bringing in the National Guard, and he wants. Oh, I can't remember what it is now, but it's what he wants. To have more and more control over the people. And I imagine there's a lot of people protesting who have no idea, who are too young to remember Kent State University. Um, maybe some of them have read history, maybe some of them haven't, but I think many of them will be too young and won't realise the potential in what's going on. And I haven't seen, but I do think it's just LA at the moment, but it might be somewhere else. I have a friend, Peggy, who lives in Chicago, which is a sanctuary city, isn't it? And I messaged her this morning, um, just asking, are you okay? We're seeing it here. It's on mainstream media. It's on BBC. It's on Channel 4. It's on France 24. We're not seeing it. So that's a good thing that we are seeing it and we're witnessing it. And was an Australian journalist hit by a rubber bullet yesterday, deliberately. The whoever that I don't know, I don't know who's what in all those different uniforms and whatever, but deliberately shot her. He was aiming at her for a while and watching her. I read an account of another journalist who was hit and had got exposed muscle that needed attention. And then the ship that was sailing to Gaza to provide aid has been taken by Israel, and God knows what's going to happen to those people that were aboard. Um, Israel are just completely out of control. The Israeli regime, out of control. The army just seem to do what they want. That I saw a story of younger boys being um, I can't think of the word, something eyed, um, about the children of Gaza, and it sort of means that they are immune to feeling anything when, as older people, they fire at them indiscriminately and put snipers into the heads of children. Yesterday, people were shot at that were standing in a queue for food. I've seen pictures that look like they've come from, Nazi Germany at the end of the war, of Belsen, and kids that have got no flesh on them. The pictures that we used to see from Biafra, and I can't remember what it was before Biafra, but all of that, it's just all awful. Netanyahu is out of control, doesn't give a shit. Trump is out of control, doesn't give a shit. Netanyahu is backed up by Trump. Neither of them give a shit. And it's just awful. And it feels like the world is turning into a right-wing fascist regime. And that's how it feels, because that's what we're seeing. And I'm hopeful, very hopeful, that we're not seeing all the good stuff, because there must be lots of good stuff going on. Lots of countries that aren't like that. Canada, for instance, sort of holding their own against the orange piece of shit. Sweden, Denmark. Denmark got a bit iffy around refugees at one point. They took refugees, and I think it was Denmark. They took refugees right at the beginning of when we had loads of refugees coming up through Europe. When Germany took absolutely loads, which was really heartwarming to see them being welcomed. And I know since then they've been treated differently by some members of society. But Denmark, I think it was Denmark that suddenly turned and started taking stuff from the refugees. Can't remember now because it's several years ago. So I don't know what Denmark's doing. But I'm sure there's lots of places in the world that are still kind to people, treat people well, respectfully, and are not out of control. But what we're seeing on the news and on social media is awful stuff. Seeing kids, parents being taken away from their kids by, I'm going to say ICE, but ICE is just partly made up with the January 6th insurrectionists with masks on. So I think it's going to get a lot worse before it gets better, sadly. And I saw a lot of people commenting on something, saying how this was on Blue Sky, how their mental health has really, really been impacted by what's been going on in the last few months. And I know some of you are in the same boat, and I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about that. I hope you can find ways to take care of yourself. I know that ECM, Elizabeth Thing and McLaughlin, can never remember her middle name, really encourages you to work with your community. So find a group of people that you can work with, providing food for homeless people, providing food for food banks, using the community to work for the good, and getting prepared for if you do need to uphold and support the very vulnerable people. It'll help you feel that you're doing something. Listen to me talking. I couldn't do any of that now. I couldn't do any of it. I used to volunteer at Resto de Coeur. Oh, over 9 years ago now, probably 10 years ago. I used to do 2 mornings a week there. God, I couldn't do that now. So yeah, anyway, here we are. I hope you're having a nice day. I hope that you're having some nice weather, and I hope that you're enjoying some peace. And see you soon. Thanks for listening. Thanks for commenting. Thanks for all your comments, and thanks for subscribing. And yeah, see you next time. Bye.